Welcome to the Unstoppable Force podcast. I'm Guy.
I'm Rob. So this is our first actual video
Yeah,
episode.
we're working our way up
Yeah.
hmm in the podcasting world.
So all right, well, before we start, I have to tell you something that's sort of on topic.
Okay.
Well, Lois Lane went to the diner and the waitress asks her, "Do you want super salad?" She responded, "No, I want Superman."
What? Is this like a random joke? It's like a dad joke.
Yeah, get used to it.
Oh man. Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Thought you would like it.
That's funny.
I liked it because it was on
That's
topic.
bad though too. That's so bad. Super salad. No one wants Superman. Okay. So we were thinking that a lot of podcasts have like a and that are like longer form that kind of go with the flow, but we wanted to be like a little shorter form. And we are thinking of like how to make it like a little more structured, to make it a little easier on our part getting into the podcasting like mind frame, but then also on the viewer's part of kind of following along in I think a more predictable fashion, less like ridiculous and off the walls, but still we're gonna try to keep that going still within each conversation we have. But basically, we've boiled it down into like different segments where we're gonna focus on like a specific topic or idea. Um, so the first thing we're doing today is we actually wanted to review Captain Marvel. Then we were going to what was the second
We
thing?
were playing off of the superhero
Right.
sort of theme, like playing. Want to do a interesting would you rather, try
hmm
to generate some weird
Some
conversation
weird
from that.
Okay, guys. So let's jump into our first segment. Okay, so we wanted to talk about
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
Now we saw that on was it the premiere night?
it
Was it
was
Friday?
Friday premiere. Usually they have it on Thursdays,
Okay.
but yeah, the Friday
So it was our
premiere
like the
weekend.
last Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. So initially going in, I had some like reservations about how I thought it was gonna end up.
Yeah.
And I was like very worried since it was, especially since Endgame is like on the heels of this,
Mhm.
and they're introducing this character specifically for Endgame, and it was kind of like make or break. So I was very
Yeah.
worried.
Yeah, it seemed at least initially like if they were just gonna force in this character last minute,
hmm
whereas we had all of the other heroes have been introduced like more than one movie before
Right.
this, and there's a lot more at stake. And it seems like they wanted to make this the first like Avenger
Yeah.
for real, aside from Captain America, because this kind of was supposed to be before all of it, and now this what's going to be an Avenger movie without the original Avenger,
Yeah.
which is actually her.
And I think like especially since she has that Superman sort ofness to her where she's coming in like super powerful, they had to like make her feel humble or like make her kind of like coming from that angle where we like empathize with her a little bit more.
But like
Just
have a different struggle, I think,
hmm
than power struggle,
yeah,
because in this a lot of it was figuring out who she was,
right.
not
Oh, by the
like
way, we should probably do like a spoiler-free version followed up by like a spoiler alert version if you
uh
wanted to. I think we're still in the spoiler-free zone just before we accidentally go into the
yeah.
so we can
I mean, we
kind
can do like a quick overview on without spoilers.
of
Okay.
I mean, I think you kind of put it the right way that it's kind of about her finding herself and learning about the world. 'Cause she kind of like I think they treat her almost like a kid, even though she's like not a kid. Like it's kind of about her realizing that things that she previously believed were wrong, that she almost had to be like enlightened to this like new idea, and then like using her powers for like good and not bad kind of thing.
Yeah, especially since a lot of it she like lost her memory at a time where like it was kind of important
hmm
that she knew what to use her powers for, I
Right.
guess.
But she didn't even know what her powers were
Right,
from.
right. So she was just trying to ask like everybody and figure out who she was from the people around her.
hmm
And since like um was like from her team, at least in the beginning of the movie, she basically just looked up to them because they just had the answers, at least at first.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of like the story honestly reminds me a lot of like some other like older stories where like they have like a character who's like super powerful, lose their memory, and then like it's like whose side are they on? Are they on the good side? Are they on the bad side? Are they being brainwashed by the good side or the bad side? And it's like kind of this uh, journey of figuring that information out and such. And I think that's kind of definitely where the story ended up going.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell that the movie did that to the viewers versus to the character,
Hmm.
because I found a lot of things she would just follow along, and as a viewer, you would be skeptical of the motivations of the people that she believed,
Hmm.
and I think that it was more for us than it was for her character.
Yeah, it's kind of like isn't that like dramatic irony? Like where you're on the outside and you know something that the character doesn't know.
Right.
I think that's called dramatic irony or like theatrical irony or something. Um but yeah, it's kind of like it gives you like a oh man, is she actually going to do this? Is she actually going to do that? Cuz like you know more information, so you almost have like the anxiety watching her possibly do the right thing or the
Yeah.
wrong thing.
So, as far as like how it was, I guess without spoilers, uh, what did you think of the action as it was?
I think that certain times action was pretty cool. And even in the scenes where I think that it wasn't the action that specifically was bad, it was more like the context of the action that wasn't as interesting to me. But I think overall the action wasn't bad. I think the best was towards the beginning. There was better action
I agree.
in like specifically that the ship scene. That was very good, and it kind of reminded me of like a little bit of like Daredevil kind of
Yeah,
style
yeah,
fighting,
yeah. Okay,
where it was like
closer to it.
very like
Um, I thought later when she actually used like even more of her powers, I think that they kind of went more lazy on the action. I think they used a lot of more shaky cam, and during one scene, I don't know if it was the lighting or what it was, but it was kind of hard to track the fighting that was going on.
mhm.
And then at the very end, with the like big like ending fight scene, was kind of disappointing, to be honest. There wasn't really a person she fought that
Yeah.
she
The
she
stakes
just
were low, I
yeah
think is the best way to
yeah
put it.
yeah
Is that there was no high stakes in the movie really at all.
right. And that was kind of the problem for me. In the beginning of the movie, they set that up. They
Hmm.
set up that there's all these big stakes, and then there was like
One
a
by one, they kind of
yeah
knocked down
yeah
each
there was like
stakes.
there was even like a tonal shift that kind of made it funnier than it was to begin with.
Yeah,
So they kind of turned to more of a Guardians esque movie
kinda.
at some
Yeah,
point with the music, and then they
I
were
totally
fighting
get that.
to what's that one song about the girl kicking ass or something when she was fighting near the end.
Oh, you mean the one where she was like? I guess we can go into the spoilers at this point. Let's give our like official rating though before we go into the spoilers. I guess
Okay.
I'd still give it like a good 8 out of 10 because at the end of the day, even though I don't like her, I thought the movie was
Yeah.
generally good
Yeah.
and it
I'm
was not bad for a lead up to
yeah.
the end game.
I give it a 7 out of 10
Okay.
because I think that as far as Brie Larson goes, they could have picked any other actress. I think she didn't really bring a lot of
No, yeah.
acting to the table. I think a lot of the antagonists, even supporting cast like Samuel L. Jackson, was way better, and they kind of made it more enjoyable than she did. She wasn't that funny.
Hmm.
Everything that
There's
was
some
supposed to be
dry
funny,
lines too,
yeah,
and some weird, but that could also be like writing a little bit too. The writing was a little
yeah.
weird for this one too in some
Well, maybe the writing
places.
for a character then,
Hmm.
because that kind of how it was.
I think it's always hard to write a Superman style character, like this character who's supposed to be stronger than everyone in the entirety of the world, but like has to have something holding her back or like some emotional thing or like some problems that cause her to not correctly control it or whatever. I think that's why it's hard to write that kind of character. Because even like at the end when she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna break out," spoilers by the way, like, "Oh, I'm gonna like break out of the control of the AI like mind or whatever,"
Hmm.
she was just like, "Okay," and the thing's just like shooting at her and just like walking forward and it's like, "I will not be
Yeah,
here," like or whatever, and and she like basically just breaks out of it in its full power mode,
yeah,
and she's like rips her thing out of her neck, and it's just kind of that like that scene was like very weird because like they
yeah.
needed
You're
to
like
have
you were expecting it to happen.
yeah.
Like, oh, she's gonna get her powers, and then she's gonna be
Mhm.
awesome, and then she just kicks everybody's ass.
And to like go into the low stakes thing, now that we can talk about spoilers, I mean, initially, like they set up these scrolls as being like this big enemy, and then they completely take that and turn it around,
Right. So
and that deflates that part of the plot a bit.
yeah. They made them so, I wouldn't say menacing, but definitely dangerous.
Mhm.
And when they ended up coming to Earth after she was captured, it was like a whole, oh shit, we got to stop these guys because they're gonna take over and like
Mhm.
they're gonna colonize like this planet.
Yeah.
And when they go to do that, and they discover some more information, at some point it just flipped. It was like the scrolls were in
Mhm.
her friend's house, and they just start talking like a normal person. They just like,
Well, it's basically, I think it was like the scroll leader was almost like wanted to talk. So he
yeah,
was like, "Oh, I'll just have the little girl outside be like watched by one of my people, and then they won't kill me initially, like instantly.
right,
And I can at least like try to convince them that I'm not the bad guy."
yeah,
Um, but it definitely felt like at like a certain point they kind of just forced it, where they were just like, "Okay, well we need this to change. We need them to like be open minded to the idea that the scrolls aren't bad." So they kind of just came up with that way. But I do like how they changed. I do like how they were like the Kree is actually the bad
right.
guys. The Skrulls were actually the good guys. I did like that part though.
I like
The
that that was
change.
I like that that was a fact that that happened,
Hmm.
but the way they did it brought me out of the movie, like when they were just being funny. It
Yeah.
was serious, and now, oh, we just want to talk, listen to us. Then there's like
There's a
20
lot of
minutes of
comedy.
there was 20 minutes of like talking and being normal, like people, I
Hmm.
guess, and comedy in there. That when Captain Marvel just goes, "Oh, I believe you now. Let's go find this power source that you're looking for
Hmm.
on the ship." Then they go there, and it turns out, oh, it wasn't. He didn't care about the power source. He just wanted his family of
He didn't even say
refugees.
that, and it's like
So he lied about what he was going for,
I
and
didn't think
had
that made the reveal any better either. Like, oh, and so his family's on the ship. Like, okay,
I think
it would have been more cool if he said it.
right, if it was more, it would be more compelling, at
Hmm.
least to me, that he like, oh, my family's there, we have to go, and then you're like, all right, how can I believe you? You're saying these things,
Hmm.
but I don't really believe you. So when you go there and it's actually true, then you're like, okay,
Yeah,
that now I can.
but then he still lied to them. So
Right. So
technically, he's still
why
untrustworthy.
he's yeah, like that was kind of dumb. Like if you wanted to gain their trust
Hmm.
to tell them the truth about what was happening, why wouldn't you just tell them that what you're looking for?
And I think you said it too. Like, it is already a more compelling story to have like your wife and kids be on the ship, and it's like I may be more willing to understand why Captain Marvel is listening and trusting you
Right.
than if you're just like, oh well, they're the bad guys. They've been like messing with your mind. You have to trust me. Let's go into this place that Marvel is the like was the like her laboratory or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even remember why they trusted him. What was the reason? What was like the he had to have like something that to gain their
I
trust,
thought
right?
that he didn't. That's why I didn't actually believe it. They just were on board. He was saying that he had found the black box from when she was the pilot, so that he revealed to her
Right.
that she was helping Marvel, and Marvel was making something. But then
Hmm.
it was
Right,
stupid
because then it
because
was like remember how she said that she wanted to save lives,
yes,
not
because
cause wars or whatever,
right, her friend,
and wars, not Star Wars.
Captain Marvel's friend filled in the blanks for
Hmm.
the scroll to convince her
Yeah.
to help him.
Hmm.
He didn't convince her.
Yeah,
Her friend convinced her
basically.
just by like interpreting what Marvel said.
Uh-huh.
So I think it was not compelling to change, and I didn't believe it. And then when it did, it was like, okay, sure,
I
like that
think I
was
would have
good.
believed it if he said the kids, like the wife and
You would
kids.
have,
I've been like that, like it doesn't seem like the thing that you use to like
right,
convince somebody. That's like something you're pulling out of your ass, and that's real out of left field. So I feel like more likely that you're telling the truth,
right,
and I could understand why you would be so obsessed with that as well. Like,
absolutely. So that's why I think that
mhm.
I still think that the scrolls were the better part of the movie. I think the plot was pretty good. I mean, that's
I
why
think
I
it
think
was
it
the
was
stakes thing
mediocre.
at the end of the day, because it's like the scrolls were this big bad guy, then they weren't.
Yeah.
And then the Krees were like this big bad guy all of a sudden, but then they really weren't either.
Well, the thing is, if you watched other movies and you knew that I forgot what his name was, one of the Kree, he was the Guardians villain.
Yeah.
So like you knew he was with Thanos and trying to do all this stuff. So
And
you're like,
Ronan the Accuser.
yeah, Ronan the Accuser. That's
I mean, like, literally, isn't Ronan the Accuser supposed to be, like, basically a guy who's like, I accuse your planet of having scrolls on it, boom,
yeah,
explode, like,
yes,
almost like the evil empire in, like, Star Wars.
yeah. When they
So that it never sounded like the Kree were very good either. I don't think they even
no,
really tried that hard to
they weren't
convince you.
good, and I think they did a okay job because I don't know his name, the head, the supporting character that was the head of her,
Like her mentor person.
yeah, her mentor, yeah. He was like, oh, I'm not gonna say which planet that she went to. Like he didn't tell Ronan where they were. So that made you think that okay, like you're on their side.
But then he did.
Yeah, but then he did say where. So that was how they kind of
And
try to
then
mask.
literally the only thing that stopped Ronan from destroying Earth was Captain Marvel, like at the very end, like getting her powers and flying up and being like, "Fuck off!" After I destroy one of your ships.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, we're coming back for the weapon." Right? That's what he said.
Well, I guess it was. Isn't her the weapon?
Right. That
was like after credit scene, right?
I believe so. I was thinking again about. I mean, this is more like the future of into the next movie, but basically that she's probably on par with like Hulk and Thor. I think her powers. I don't think she's so much more powerful than they are.
We'll see. But it seemed like they were trying to like give her that impression. Like she's the first time a character played with her prey. You know what I mean? Like in that final fight, like we were talking about, like the low stakes.
Yeah, but
and how
okay.
The Kree just ended up being so much weaker than her that the whole fight scene was just about her going like, poke, you're down, poke, you're down.
Like Hulk does that shit, and he's not doing that to play around. Like he doesn't play around because he's not like his intelligence and like smart enough to be like, oh, okay, let me like mess with you because I know it's gonna like that's how it is. He just goes and does it, so he doesn't have to play around with his food like if you look at Avengers when he was just destroying all the aliens left and right just cause.
But I'm saying like she was like almost purposefully just like kind of knocking them to the side and being like, come at me, and then going like knocking them back.
But that was also to make a distraction because she was holding what they thought was the
But I thought that was kind of what you didn't like about that scene partly.
No, I said I was okay with that. I realized after that because she was holding on to the cube, like what they thought was a cube, that makes more sense. She needs to keep them there while everybody gets away.
Yeah.
But then when the box pops open, you don't play around anymore. You just finish it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they kind of got away from her, and she was like standing right next to them when the box opened.
Yeah.
I always thought that was funny, like how they like basically teleported all the way like where they needed to be.
Yeah.
The second the box, they realized that the box didn't have the Tesseract in it.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it was kind of like it was very chaotic. There's a lot of people versus her.
Yeah.
And they were all like way lower like power level than her.
Yeah.
And because of that, it wasn't as like interesting of a fight scene, I think. It's like I get why they did it, and it totally works with the distraction part, but I think that's what made it partly like not as good of a fight scene, is because it's like if it was her versus Thanos, and it's like, oh man, it's like the two super strong powers, like this is gonna be an epic battle where we're gonna see both of them stretched to their limits of their capabilities. But if it's just her fighting a bunch of like weak Kree warriors who they very obviously made out to be weaker than her once she's like fully powerful.
Yeah.
Then it's kind of just like watching her slowly like beat up a bunch of kids while distracting them from getting to the lunchbox.
Right. That's why I think it should be different for Avengers. I think you've also kind of said this before, that a lot of times in these movies they play with the power level per movie or per fight, so they can just do that and just be like, okay, she's strong enough to like fight against Thanos, but lose. Like not like extremely like too badly, but badly enough where she needs help. Then she goes back and then grabs the Avengers, and they all go and they finish them off. Well, that's how they kind of play with it.
Yeah.
To make it more compelling, a reason to need the rest of the team.
Okay, so I think it's good. We pretty much covered everything.
Yeah.
Let's move into our next segment. So basically,
I mean, we're just playing off of like the superhero like theme, right? Like how
right.
So I mean, we were just gonna come up with some would you rather questions.
So like just basically like both made lists of questions. And it's just like would you rather A or B, and it's related to superheroes, mostly like superhero powers.
Superpowers.
Yeah. And we're just gonna see where it goes from that.
Absolutely. I mean,
This
I
will
can
be
start, I
interesting.
guess. And I want to just start with like a simple one, I guess, because before we get into any of the weird like
Mhm.
made up like way made up ones,
Yeah.
because like a lot of these I came up with except for this first one. I just put on here teleportation or invisibility.
Teleportation's so nice.
I usually pick that because it's
Invisibility is pretty sweet, but teleportation is just convenient.
dude, you can just wake up and get
Mhm.
dressed and go to work like that.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I guess you have to teleport in front of your dresser and then take out your clothes, and then you have to teleport
Yeah,
into the
oh yeah, but
bathroom
it's
and then
not
pick
about
up
that.
stuff.
It's about having to like drive to work or
Yeah.
drive to these places, and not and there's some people argue that the trip is what makes it worth it. Like if we're going somewhere, if we're gonna go on like a road trip or something.
I mean, if you're going on like a road trip, yes. But if I'm doing the same thing every morning, every day for the last 3 years of my life, do I really need to sit through it? I'm pretty sure that everyone would hit the skip button on getting ready in the morning for work.
True. Well,
That's
I
not a
would.
journey. That's a monotonous task.
That's very true.
But that would be kind of funny, like teleport out of bed into your like dresser, then teleport like into the bathroom to take a shower, teleport back into your room, get dressed, teleport to work immediately after. Ah.
And then leave work immediately.
And then you could be like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. I don't like the bathrooms here at work. Back at
Oh,
home,
yeah.
into the bathroom.
Or else like, you have to get lunch or anything. You
Mhm.
just go wherever the hell you want.
I mean, and then if you think about it, even from can you make a ton of money with this power? Can you, um, like do something crazy? Like you could theoretically like teleport into like Trump's bedroom in the middle of the night and like poke him in the arm and like teleport out. You could like, I mean, you could literally like teleport into like meeting rooms or like teleport into like get information. You could do it
Yeah,
like.
but you can't go somewhere where people know you're there. So like, if you go like, let's say there's a competitor that you want to know what their next project is, so you
Mhm.
can beat them on that project. Sure, you can get in there like really quickly, but like they're gonna know you're there.
Well, like let's say you teleported into the office building, but you teleported so that you could like bug it in the middle of the night at like 12 a.m. and you just teleport into the conference room, bug the conference room with like a little audio device or something, and then you could teleport out. Like you just don't have to worry about breaking in anywhere or
I mean,
breaking out of anywhere or like.
you don't have to worry about breaking in or out anywhere if you're invisible. You just walk in behind somebody.
No, but you still have. Well, I guess you could walk in, but that's tough though. What if they like close on your face? And you just like get slammed in the
No,
face
there's
by
way
a
more
door.
opportunities to get in just being invisible to walk.
I mean, teleporting is definitely the
Yeah,
easiest
but
thing.
you don't have to worry about getting caught if you're
Mhm.
invisible. Like you're almost guaranteed that T will go find information rather
Mhm.
than oh let me bug this and now I'm gonna hear a conversation or whatever. Now you can actually like be there for conversations or go into certain places of the building where
Mhm.
you like where there's probably cameras, right? So if you even if you teleport into some place then there's cameras, you can get caught.
I mean, if you just wear like a mask and you keep teleporting around, like people will know that there's a teleporting person. They'd probably have a hard time like convincing others. I guess they have like videotape of it
Right.
though. I don't know how the world would take that, but I still don't think you would get caught easily.
Well, so if you want to also, but then you're known. That means people know that that's
There's a
out there.
teleporting person. Yeah.
Versus invisibility, nobody knows there's an invisible person. How do you know that
I
there's an
mean,
invisible
I guess you could like bump into them and then be like, "What is this?" And you're like touching the air and you're like,
You realize people believe in ghosts, okay?
yeah, that is
Like there's
true.
plenty of reason to.
Well, what if you like wore like some sort of like costume as like the teleporting person, make it seem like you're an alien or something. It's like aliens have invaded America and they're teleporting around.
You don't think people have dressed up as like aliens to convince people that they're not a person? Come on.
I mean, maybe he's got a really good cosplay artist,
Dude,
creative
even like
person.
movie like art
Cosmetics.
yeah, like all the costume
Mhm.
artists. all this. They would be able to tell if it's something's a costume or not.
Probably, actually, yeah.
That's how they figure it out.
Okay, so I have one that involves being naked, or sorry, being invisible,
Well,
but being naked. Okay, so would you rather have invisibility, but the only way you would actually be entirely invisible was you would have to be naked, just like Invisible Woman
yeah.
and like Fantastic Four, but you can't. There's no suit. There's no
Right.
suit that allows you to wear it and go invisible.
Yeah.
You actually, no matter what, for the rest of your life, if you want to go invisible, you have to get naked first.
So you can't get naked then take your clothes off. You have to be naked then
Well,
get
you
invisible.
can't get naked and then take your clothes off.
I mean, go invisible then take your clothes.
Well, you can go invisible and then take your clothes off.
But your clothes won't be invisible.
But your clothes won't. And anything you're wearing, like earrings, like if you broke your wrist and there's like a metal piece in your wrist, that it wouldn't be invisible.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it's like only you.
Okay.
Or you would have super strength.
Okay.
But you wouldn't be able to control it. So like you pick stuff up, or like you like pick up a mug and you like shatter the mug. But you have super strength.
But it's like kind of random.
Yeah, like you really have no ability to like reduce it enough that you won't like break objects without being incredibly like gentle.
I think I would pick the strength. I don't know. I think I can deal with invisibility better.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I would take my chances on the strength, and like if I have to lift something up, I just keep trying until I get it. It'll be random enough to get something if I need.
You could break it though too. So like now it's like when you type on a keyboard, like
yeah, but I'm talking about
type
like
too hard.
I'm talking about lifting. Like, see, that's actually really interesting because if let's say I have to pick up like some really heavy like bag or something or whatever, like heavy weights, something that's really heavy, and I'm starting walking with it, and I just lose my strength. It would just get fucked.
What do you mean?
Like if I'm really strong, able to lift something up, but then I lose the strength.
Why would you lose the strength?
Because you're strong randomly.
No, so you're not strong randomly. You're just super strong. But like, okay, so you know in like movies and television, you'll have like a super strong character who can like.
But they learn it.
But they can like they can pick stuff up and do stuff like with that's normal and not like accidentally break a glass when they pick it up. And then they say like, oh, it's because they got used to it. Well, what if you just like I think that realistically there is no person, if you were as strong as Hulk, you could not reduce your strength enough to like stop yourself from breaking a glass realistically.
Okay, I probably picked invisibility then. Mm-hmm. I mean that's very. I mean I imagine lots of like versions of
sketch.
No, but I feel like a lot of versions of invisibility. That's what it is. Like the Invisible Man, you have like or Hollow Man or like Invisible Girl, right? That's her name, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these versions are just that. Like it's just like Mr. Fantastic. He can only stretch his body. He can't stretch his clothes, right?
Right, so, but they, I mean, like they always come up with some way to like make it so like, oh, you're wearing a suit that infinitely extends to the length of your body. Oh, you're wearing a suit that can be lit on fire. Oh, you're wearing a suit that goes invisible when you do. Like, I can come up with an ex machina too to make it so that your power works in a way that's not annoying.
It just sucks if you want to bring clothes around with you. But as long as you can control your invisibility, then it doesn't matter.
You can be like Jumpsuit Man, where you have like one of those jumpsuits that janitors wear, with like the big long like zipper. So every time something goes wrong, you're like, oh, I'm ready to get naked, get invisible.
Could be. I mean, so that's what I would probably pick. So for the next one, I have: would you rather have metal skin or metal bones?
So metal bones would be like if somebody like hit me with a baseball bat, I wouldn't like have my bone break. I could like block it.
Yes.
But then metal skin, would that mean like I wouldn't even be like flexible? Like if you poked me, I'd be like hard?
Right.
Or is it more like
it's like layers
Luke Cage?
No, it's like metal. Like you know Colossus?
Yeah.
Well, he basically has. It's not flexible, but he can move. Like you can move everything. But it's like solid.
Okay.
But nothing else inside your body is metal.
Okay, so
your
can
organs
somebody
and
like
everything.
shoot me and it goes through the metal on the outside and hits the inside? Or is it like titanium? Or
it's like titanium.
Like really tough.
Yeah, but I wouldn't like stay out in the heat too long. You'd probably boil your insides because of the metal.
I think I'd rather have the bones then. I feel like the skin is just too complicated. But bones is like I could just straight up like swing my arm at somebody and just break their face with the fucking fact that my arm is like twice as heavy and has like a solid metal bone in it.
I mean, but then you wouldn't be bulletproof if you have
Yeah,
metal skin.
I mean they couldn't shoot me in the heart though, because
Just
there's
to get a really
pretty
good
decent
shot.
amount of bone in front of it at least.
Yeah. I
So it's
mean,
a little harder,
it's
but
harder too. I mean, unless you
it's
get
like
shot like in the eye or something.
I guess it's kind of like the Wolverine kind of
Yes,
direction
yes,
versus like
that's
the
his.
Colossus
Yeah,
direction.
it's basically the difference.
Okay, so I have another one that's kind of related to the metal.
Okay.
So would you rather turn into metal, but you would be metal, so you can't move your arms, you're just metal. You just turn into metal. So like, let's say there's a huge explosion that's about to go off, you could just turn into metal and
Okay.
survive it, but you can't move.
Okay.
Or would you want to I don't know, I couldn't come up with like a good comparison once. I said turn into a wolf, but once you do, you have to wait a whole month before you can turn back into a human to like the next moon. So you could like use these as like an escape, but both of them have serious downsides.
I feel like I can't get paid time off for a month for being a wolf.
It's like, by the way, I have a disability. I sometimes turn into a wolf. I don't come back for a month.
Yeah.
So I expect to be paid for that time away.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
you know,
versus being able to survive like everything. If you're in a car accident, you just freeze up in metal.
I mean, but you could turn into a wolf, and I guess
You can also
is
be
it helpful
killed.
enough? I mean, I guess you could still die. Maybe a month's too long. Maybe like the whole day.
Okay.
Because then it's like the metal could be pretty crazy useful, but then also being a wolf is kind of badass.
It's not that useful.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely harder to kill a wolf than it is to kill like a human in like a one-on-one fight, like hand to hand.
True, but it's also hard to kill a metal person.
But
That's stock as a
you
metal
wouldn't be able
person.
to use that in a fight though. Like if you were like fist fighting with somebody.
Okay, tell me that you're not gonna give up after a little bit trying to destroy this hunk of fucking metal.
Well, you're not. I mean, I guess it's like winning through like ultimate defense. Where
Yes.
You're just like, oh man, I got punched too many times, full metal, and then just like, what? I can't hit him anymore, man. What the fuck happened to this guy?
See, like how you win is you just jump on him, turn metal,
Oh,
and
God.
crush him. See?
You just like flatten them like
Yes.
a pancake.
Yes.
God. That's probably actually like a great strategy, like jumping off of high places and then turning into metal. You just turn into like a fucking boulder
Yeah.
that's just falling down, like 3 ton like of metal just falling on shit.
Yeah.
Oh man.
This is so funny.
Or like having like another character who's like super strength, like pick you up, like you like stand like super straight, and they start picking you up and using you as like a weapon.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Okay.
So I mean, this next one kind of relates to animals, sort of.
Mhm.
Actually, very much. So it's only be able to understand what animals are saying, or only be able to speak an animal. So like you can tell like a bird something, but
you
if
can't
you can't understand what it says, or you can understand what the animals are saying,
But
you can't talk to them back.
I think I'd rather just understand and be like a passive enjoyer of information.
I think it's useful for like dogs, like for
Mhm.
pets. They're like saying something to you. You don't know what they want. They have to go out. They have
Uh-huh.
to eat. What's wrong? Like
Does it work on babies? That would be helpful. No, babies as well. Or like kids.
no. I know we're animals, but still.
So okay, so it doesn't count for humans.
No, not for humans. Just
Mhm.
non-human animals.
I think it'd be cool to like speak to an animal, but I think I'd rather be able to just like understand them.
I think it'd be interesting if you can find an animal that would listen to you like your command. Like obviously your pets kind of do, like your dog. You can probably get your dog to do some more stuff, like get you a beer or something like that. or whatever. But if
Like
it's
you would
something
know
in
when
the
it
wild,
doesn't understand what it's supposed to do,
Right.
and then like you'll like know how far along its like knowledge of what you're teaching it would be.
Right.
I guess.
I mean, unless you're in a situation where you're getting attacked
Mhm.
and you try to use it to talk to like a bear or a wolf
That's
that's
true.
attacking
It's
you,
kind of like Aquaman style.
like convincing it to stop. Like, oh, you're not there to hurt them.
Mhm. If you can only like understand, you have no control over.
Right.
It's kind of like being the same power strength you are now, but just having more information.
Yeah.
But if you can like tell the animals what to do, then you're kind of like Aquaman.
Yeah. I mean,
Where you could be like, bear, come to my rescue, or like, you know, like when you're like, I don't know, there could be like a horse that like doesn't let anyone else ride it, and you could be like, you're gonna let me ride you, and then it's gonna go okay,
well,
because you can
don't.
talk to it.
Well, it's not that you can control them
But you
necessarily.
some
You have
level
of communication
yeah.
where you can talk to them. Like you don't know they're saying no or what they're gonna do to you. Like if you talk to them.
But you can at least have like some chance of like convincing an animal to like help you.
Yeah. I think that's probably more useful.
It's more useful, but I feel like I'd still rather just be able to like listen.
Yeah.
It's kind of like more fun.
Gathering knowledge and understanding is
versus like a dominance. Or
right. Like
thing.
getting to know like depends on what you want more knowledge. Yeah. Like I don't even know if you can get more knowledge like from some bird that was
like I don't want to impact the like animals. I just kind of want to know like, oh, okay, you know, I put out this new bird feeder. Everyone's happy. I'm like happy about that. You know, like I want to be in tune, but I don't want to like tell them what to do because it's like natural. Right. It feels unnatural to be able to like tell an animal what you want.
Yeah, I mean you do tell your dog, no, stop,
but
go outside.
It's a process.
So now it's just easier, and you're not controlling them. You're not like taking over their mind.
No,
so I think that it doesn't.
I guess it's not.
I think the way you're kind of portraying it.
I was kind of like at a certain point, like with the Aquaman thing, it's like where you have like control.
It's not like that.
Level of control.
It's more like you just saying words that they.
Well, then that's like probably even more not useful then, because it's like you have a stubborn animal. You can say anything you want to it. It's not going to change its mind.
But if it doesn't understand you, it's like understanding a different language or not. If somebody tells you something, you're just gonna be like, I don't know, whatever. You do your own thing.
Right.
But if somebody in your own language tells you something, you're like, oh, okay, and then you can make an informed decision on what you want to do. Versus like a dog.
I guess it's almost like the equivalent in humans of like being able to understand another language but not be able to speak it, or being able to speak it but not be able to understand it.
Yeah.
Which I think either way that is still better on the understanding their language but not being able to speak it is probably more useful.
Right.
Because if you can speak it, but then when they respond to what you say, you're just like,
right, exactly.
I don't know.
That's true.
It's like, aren't you speaking fluent Chinese? What'd you say?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I say that back in Chinese, like, I'm sorry, I can only speak it perfectly, I can't understand it. Here, let me see. I have one. Alright, so this is kind of like that. So having the ability to know if somebody likes you or not. Not if they dislike you, but if they like you or not.
Okay.
Or have the ability to like read a specific thought, like somebody's thinking, but it takes like a week to recharge. So like you could know exactly what they're thinking, or you can just know whether that they like you or not.
Like just their opinion of you?
Yeah.
Or okay.
So like, do they see you in a positive light, or do they either not care or dislike you?
All right. I'd probably pick specific thought, because there's a lot of times where I want to know the actual thought of something, of like a conversation or a question where they're kind of vague, and it's like, all right, well, let me know what you're actually thinking, versus just general, like, I don't care if somebody likes me or not.
What if you like read somebody's mind though, and it was like some useless bull crap, and you're like, oh, time to wait another week.
I feel like you get good at it.
Yeah.
After
like timing it, and like finding like ways to almost like. It almost like turned into like Inception, where you like try to like get them to think a specific important thought that you're like trying to read.
Trying to get that information out. Yeah,
that'd be kind of cool actually. But then you could also, with the other one, knowing whether or not people like you or not would give you like an incredible amount of insight as to like, you know, is this the type of person who I can't trust? You know, so like let's say somebody was like gonna double cross you. They would not like you, but they would act like they did. So you could like see the difference between that. Or like if you were trying to get like a specific person to like you, you can basically like maybe like do something for them and then see if any change has occurred.
Yeah.
And then like be like, okay, so that's good, or like that's bad.
But you realize by hearing a specific thought, you can ask them, do you like me? And then when they answer you or try to think,
that is
you
true.
can read their thought.
But one you can do constantly all day to everybody over and over and over again.
Yeah, but you can get an answer that you would get anyway. So I think that...
I guess it's kind of like one you need to be like really, really like like almost specific about, more like delicate, like because you only get once a week.
Yeah.
You have to make sure each one counts.
Yeah.
But whereas like the other one's kind of like more brute force, where you're like you think that, or you read their mind and then you do something and then you read your mind again and then you do something and you read their mind again and you're almost like playing this game of like trial and error where
but
it's like brute force rather than it being like subtle and specific.
Right.
But
like knowing somebody likes like you or not is kind of vague.
Yeah.
I think so you don't really know. Like
I guess some people also don't really give a shit if people like them
right,
or not.
or some people have no opinion of you.
Mhm.
It's just like that was so useful to know this.
Yeah.
Versus like a vital piece of information you're trying
Uh-huh.
to get out of.
What if it, instead of it being like likes you or not, and instead it was like a 0 to 10, or like a negative 10 to 10, meaning 0
Okay,
is like
that-
nothing.
yeah.
So like you could actually like gauge their specific level as you go. Would you then change your answer?
No.
There's also stress involved with that.
Yes,
too.
because knowing now it's like it's so
Mhm.
stressful to know somebody doesn't like me. Then in my head I'm like, what's the point of this conversation? Like if I'm just wasting
Mhm.
my time with this person.
Yeah.
So then I mean, I guess it's good you cut them off or whatever because you don't want those type of people in your life. Or if somebody likes you, then you're like, okay, then you be around them more, and then you like do that too much, and then it changes their
Mhm.
opinion of you
And
because
then
now
you
they
start
learn
getting
more.
all anxiety or
So
something.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Then you're constantly like
Uh-huh.
figuring out if they like you
It's
like the whole time.
you almost stop being like yourself, and you almost start being like whatever you think this
Yeah.
specific
Yeah.
person will like you for being.
It's like Fallout when it's like this person didn't like that. It's like
Everybody
Yeah,
hated
everybody
that. This is so
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I agree. And hearing like a specific thought would also probably be a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's more information. So I got a weird one. So I got be able to make one part of your body super small, or be able to make your whole body super small except for one part.
Okay. I think that making one part of my body small is like more useful, but like I want to ask, can I make like my arm small? Meaning like that includes
Right.
my hand, or I can't even do my hand, I can only do my fingers, or like like can it be my whole
It's
arm?
like, well, I would say like, yeah, I guess it's
Because it's like, you're trying to get Pringles out of the can, and you're like,
well, usually it's your
my hand's a
hand
little
that doesn't
smaller.
fit. Your hand doesn't fit. So like I would say like a limb is okay.
Okay. So like my entire leg, or just like my
Yeah,
like,
you can like segment your limb,
Okay.
but it can be like a whole limb.
but it can't be like more.
Right, it
than
can't
a
be
whole
like
leg.
both legs or yeah, it
Mhm.
can't. It's like one limb.
Or it can be like my
your head.
Yeah. Okay. I think that would be useful because it's like like when you're trying to like reach for things, and it's like
Yeah.
your hands like just
underneath
too big.
underneath like a
Uh-huh.
couch.
I feel like that's like the greatest use for that.
Or you can't fit in someone's car, you just make your head small.
Oh god.
Or what if you make your torso small so everything
yeah.
is big?
Yeah, you could like squeeze like if you want to like squeeze like through something that's like really thin, you could like make just your body like small, and then your arms already kind of fit in.
And but so on the other hand, it seems kind of funny. But what if you have to hide somewhere?
Mm-hmm.
Then you can like hide underneath like a pillow with like your hand sticking out, just like a regular sized hand, but the rest of your body is tiny.
Yeah.
So like it's good for like hiding
Mhm.
type of stuff. But I don't really know about anything other that you can do.
You just have to like hide the one part of the body that isn't small,
Yeah.
and then the rest of your body is like already small, so
Yeah.
you can't be seen.
Right. Well, like you can hide in like places where people can't access, like a car.
Do I retain my strength like my Ant-Man?
No.
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 Oh. Because I was gonna say
But
that
you
I could like
can-
run around and be like a hand. It's like
No.
running
Like
at
let's put it
people.
this way: you can't lift your hand up if you're tiny. Your giant hand up. You have to drag it with you with your tiny body.
I might pick the second one if I was like Ant-Man and I had human strength. Because then I would just make myself really small, and then just like my hand, and then I would be like the guy in like the horror movie who's like going like
oh yeah,
this.
or like Adam's
Like,
Family,
scare the
like
crap out of
one
your
hand.
family.
Oh my gosh.
Oh god, that'd be great for like pranks.
Yeah.
Because then it could be like head on like a platter. And you
Yeah.
could, like,
yeah. Everything but.
And be like, "Oh, I see you. You're actually putting your head through the table." And be like, "Well, check under the table."
Dude,
And
you
they
can
check.
sneak into like a movie,
Mhm.
like have me in your pocket with just like my hand like
Yeah.
in there, and then we get in, then I can get normal
And
size,
I like
or
kind
just
of like
hold my head up,
reflate.
just hold the head to watch your movie.
Okay.
I think we've reached the end of this segment. I think
I
that we
think
kind of
so.
stretched out.
Okay, so that about wraps it up.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, leave a like, a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Even share it with your friends.
And if you guys have anything to add to the conversation, definitely reach out to us on social media. Our Twitter is UForcePod, and our Instagram is Unstoppable Force Podcast with a lowercase u.
See you guys next time. And then until then,
Stay
stay
unstoppable.
unstoppable.